This is technically part two of what we started just yesterday. But Emma is here for some reason. This is Lindley Fink.
Hello.
And for some reason, this chair is really tall. And, so what we talked about yesterday was the love of money. And how technically money in and of itself isn't sin, but the love of money is definitely a sin. And so yeah, I just lost my train of thought because someone just walked in. But sorry, we were talking about how the love of money is a sin, because when you love money, you decide that you're gonna put money over God, and then it becomes a sin and whatnot. So since Lindley wasn't here yesterday, and the reason why Lane isn't here today is because he has something to do. And Lindley, you were there at church with me when Andrew talked about the love of money. What's your perspective on that?
So I agree with the general message that having money as itself is not a sin, but depending on how you feel against money and how you, I guess how you treat it, I guess what I'm trying to say is when you hoard money, that's being greedy. Greed is a sin. But if you just have money and you just want to give that out, or you don't want to keep it all for yourself, then that's fine.
Yeah, I like what he said, where you can give out money, because like I said yesterday, money, where your money goes is what you treasure. Because the treasure of your heart, it can be people, it can be a person, it can be your spouse or your children. It doesn't matter. Whatever your money goes to is what you treasure. Now today, I've got my notebook with me. Yesterday I didn't have it. This is my notes. I've been going over 1 Corinthians. I'm trying to get through to study all of it. So far, I'm at, I think, chapter 6. Don't quote me on it, but chapter 6, maybe chapter 7. That makes me mad. But yeah, I'm at chapter 6. I started just a couple days ago, and I go over a chapter every day. I do 1 Corinthians, and then I do Job. Why I do Job is because Job is one of my favorite books of the Bible, because he relates to me. Now, y'all know what Job did, right?
Yes.
How Job, he lost everything, and then at that point he never despised God. It says how he never despised God. At the end, it said, in all this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. He never said, hey God, why'd you do this? Hey God, what did I do for this? He asked, I think, was it 108 questions or was it 78?
I think it was in the hundreds.
Yeah, Job asked a ton of questions to God, but never did he charge him foolishly. Now, today we're going to talk about friendship, because I'm going to have to find it, but I want both of you, while I try to find it, what do y'all think friendship is? Lindley, you can go first.
So my idea of friendship is when you call somebody your friend, that's it's basically like having a companion by your side. When I consider somebody my friend, that's somebody who I trust with certain things. That's somebody who I can rely and depend on, and that's somebody who that they're always be there for me, and vice versa. For you to call somebody your friend, that's a really big thing, because it's so easy to make friends, but then it's so hard to let them go.
Yeah. Emma, what do you believe it is?
I feel like as if a friend is someone. Sorry. Give me a second. Okay. A friend is someone that you confide in, that you hang out with, that you care about and you love. Having friends is a very, very important thing. Jesus had, his 12 disciples, and I feel that there's And I don't know how many times I have told my friends something that I've never even told my parents, okay? It's very important to have a friend, and it's also very, very important to have a friend who has the same beliefs as you. That will help you in your walk with the Lord. Yeah, that's how it is.
Alright, so if you don't know, Job's best friend was Eliha. Now he also had Bildad and Zophar, and I think one other guy. I cannot pronounce his name. It's like Eliphaz or something like that. And now he has Eliha. Now, a lot of people would be like, no, Elijah, I know them, but they don't know Eliha. Now, I think y'all have heard in one of our videos, I said I want to strive to be someone like Eliha, to have like a really, really good friendship. And I'm gonna be honest, it says that Eliha, not only did he kindle Job, help Job, but he straight up was honest with him, and that's real love. When me personally as a friend, I don't want to hear what you think I want to hear. A lot of the time, I just want to hear the truth. Just tell me what's true. I was walking with one of my friends. I asked him a question, and he told me what I wanted to hear, but he didn't tell me the truth. Now, have you ever heard people say, "You just tell me what I want to hear, but you don't tell me the truth"? That's what happened. He had just told me what I wanted to hear, but never told me the truth. So when I went to go talk to several other people about it, it ended up being a completely different answer. So a lot of the time, we just want to hear the truth, because we have friends that are not necessarily fake for that, but they just don't understand. To be someone like Eliha, the one friend in the entire Bible, because it says, then was kindled the wrath of Eliha, the son of Barachel the Buzite, of the kindred of Ram. Against Job was his wrath kindled, because he justified himself rather to God. He had been mad at him and angry at him and been like, why are you questioning God? It's God's plan. Your wife was the one who had despised God. He was telling him everything, and he was getting angry because Job was starting to question God. Now it says in one of the previous chapters that Job speaks with God, and I think it may be somewhere around chapter 7 or chapter 9. But now I'm going to go on. It says also against his three friends was his wrath kindled, because they had found no answer and yet had condemned Job. So when it says that he had condemned Job, why Eliha was so mad at Eliphaz and Zophar and Bildad was because they not only were they mean to him, they were rude to him. I feel like it was the way that they did it. They were like, Job, it's because you were bad. Job, it's because you did wrong. Job, because you made God mad. What did you do, Job? They condemned him. I'm stuttering a lot, by the way. I'm so sorry. But yeah, they condemned Job. They were not only rude to him, but they were saying it's your fault, Job. As you can see in Job chapter 1, it says, Job chapter 1, verse 1, it says Job was a perfect and upright man. And then at the end of the very, very last verse of Job chapter 1, after it says in Job chapter 1, verse 21, where it says, naked I came from my mother's womb, naked I return thither. God takes and God gives and God taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. It says right after that, but Job sinned not and did not charge God foolishly. Therefore, he didn't sin. Now, one of the questions that I want to ask y'all, which I don't have questions prepared. I'm kind of just rolling with this. But me personally, I've told y'all, I don't know if y'all two know, but when I was born at a very young age. I'm joking, that was a bad joke. Yeah, so when I was born from 1 to 4 months old. I was in domestic child abuse. And my dad was the one enforcing that. It was not my mother. I was then taken out of there. Or we were in, I think, Chattanooga. We ended up moving to Cleveland. But it wasn't that my dad left me. It was that we left my dad because we were scared of what he was gonna do, and because he was just a terrible person. And from then on, I ended up meeting my stepdad. His name is Nicholas Raymond. And I would never had a relationship to the point where I called him dad. I only did that one time. And it was because, once, he's just not real. He's just not as real as a father. And by 8 years old, he did something inappropriate. My stepdad was gone and out of my family. And from then on, I was homeless at 9 years old for the first time. And we lost a house. We lived in a janky motel where we had almost no money for food. We had to pay $50 a night just to be there because how stinking expensive it is. And I wouldn't say that my life is terrible, but recently, it's been amazing. I've been the happiest person I've ever been in my entire life. But when I was in 6th grade, nobody in this room knows about it. And just because I can, I'm going to tell y'all. When I was in 6th grade, I was in kind of a one-to-one relationship with somebody that I definitely should not have been even friends with. They ended up ruining my walk with God, because at the beginning of the year, the whole reason they became friends with me was because I was a Christian and because I loved God. But through this relationship, they were kind of pulling me away from God, and it ended up resulting in my constant sadness. I ended up going into a little state of depression, but not like what I would say I need medication or I'm in a state where I want to kill myself. I would say in 6th grade, there was a point where I did eventually want to commit suicide, because I was taken from the school, taken from everybody that I loved, and I felt like Job. I could say, yeah, I've been in that position maybe once or twice. It's not a good spot to be in. I want everybody to know that. But the thing is, when I was in 6th grade, it was a whole lot worse than when it happened in 8th grade. Because when I was in 6th grade, it wasn't because I felt that nobody loved me. It was because I was away from God. But just recently, in 8th grade, I was over fall break. I'm a completely different person than I was, because that entire week I felt like I was in living hell. Which, as a Christian, that's the way the world's gonna be. The world is your hell. Heaven is the next best place to be. So, the earth, that's your hell. Now, I wanted to ask these two: have y'all ever been in a place like I have, or you feel like you've lost everything, like in Luke 15:3, where you feel like you've lost too many pieces to put yourself back together? Have you ever felt like you're in that position and God just leaded you there?
Yes. When I was 8 years old, I'd been living with my biological father for about 3 years. And it was right around when COVID started, and he went to go get dog food or something like that. And I was just in my room, I was doing my homework, my schoolwork, whatever, and then I hear sirens. Coming down the road, I look out my window, and he's pulling in the driveway with his hands up, running to the house. Well, they come, they tackle him down, whatnot, and, as an 8-year-old, that's hard to see, My daddy, he was my everything. And, I at the time, I was 8. I couldn't do anything about it. I was sad, as a particular 8-year-old would be, but I didn't know how much that changed my life. A little background story about that, though. For when I was 2, I was 0 months to 2, I lived with my granny. Something happened, she didn't want me, and then I moved to the family I'm with now when I was 2. Well, my dad got out of prison beforehand, and I went back with him when I was 5. When I was 5, he had a wife, or a fiance. She was very abusive, hit me, did all this stuff for no good reason, and it was hard. And I didn't know anything about the Lord. My dad was a drug dealer. My biological mother was an addict as well, and I think she was a dealer as well as that. I have two younger sisters and a bunch of older ones, or older siblings. I love them dearly, but 8 years old, you have this small little bubble of people in your life. I mean, you have your school, but I mean, all that was taken away from me. I used to live in Crossville. I came to Jamestown and whatnot, and I went to church for the first time. When I was 9, I thought I got saved. I did not. And then a year and a half ago, I got saved on September 1st, 2024. And I can't thank him enough for that. But when you're in that situation, you don't think ahead of it. But I mean, whenever you're in that situation, it's for a reason. God does everything for a reason. But if that never would have happened, I never would have met the Lord. I'd be dying to go to hell. And I wouldn't be the leader of FCS. I wouldn't have the friends that I do. I wouldn't have the education that I do have. I wouldn't have anything without that. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna add something just to make you feel better, just to ease this situation. We're a handful of a bunch of failures. All right. To be honest, Lindley, sorry, buddy, I love you. You're a failure. Jason, you're a failure. You suck. Emma, you're gonna be nice to you. You're a failure. Ryan, right behind you. You're right behind the camera. You're a failure. All have fallen short of the glory of God. Every single one of us will not be perfect enough. Every single one of us will fail. We will always fall into temptation. We are born with a sinful
future.
Yes, sinful flesh. All right. We are not perfect. We are failures. All have fallen short of the glory of God. That is what it says. That's what the Word of God says. And why did Christ quote Scripture when he was tempted? It was because it was powerful and it was rich. But why I pointed, by the way, was because Ryan was the one that said that. And I just want to say, it's love again. But love is everything, and it's purely because of how powerful it is, and because all the 40 authors that wrote over the 6,000 year period wrote this was because of love. And I'm gonna be honest with I'm gonna let Lindley speak in a minute about his, if he's had any situation. But my mom, drug addict. My dad, pervert. He has a girlfriend that's 30 years younger than him, or no, I don't think 30 years, but a good 20 years younger than him. She is a teenager, or a 20-year-old. He has had several children outside of my mom, which is his wife, and he refuses to divorce my mom just for mental abuse and torture. He is refusing to pay child support. Therefore, I am losing money. I am losing any opportunity I have for basketball, anything. And my stepdad, the dad that I had for 8 years, not my actual dad, is doing better than my real dad. My real dad is going and sleeping with every person that he feels like he wants to sleep with. That's my dad. That's who I'm at. That's who I take after. That's who I have to look up to. Never had a father figure. Never had a person that I could just be like, that's my dad. That's the person that helped make me. I can't say that, because I despise him. He's the one person I'm I can't even talk about. That's when people bring him up or they make dad jokes, I make them too, because I'm proud that I don't have a dad. I'm proud that my dad is Jesus. I'm proud that my dad is the one sitting up on his throne right now, probably smiling on me because he knows that we're sharing the gospel. All three of us, and Ryan helping, he's smiling on this. He's happy that we're doing it, and I can't be happier for us. I know that not a lot of us are, or I know that all of us aren't perfect, and we're all gonna fail. We're all gonna fall into temptation at one point. But I am gonna let Lindley speak. I'm gonna ask you the question again, just so you can remember it.
Alright.
Have you ever had a situation where you feel like you're in the state of Job?
Alright, so a lot of my friends would say that I've lived a pretty privileged life, but in my eyes, that's not how it was at all. First thing that happened when I was 2, my dad left. Reason being, he was a construction worker. He worked out of state all the time, and he cheated on my mom 4 times. She found out every single time, and that added up to them splitting up. And then so now my dad lives in Texas. I can't say like Jason that I despise my dad. I personally like my dad. I like the new family that he's put together for himself. They're all really nice people. And then by the time I was 4, my mom is going to get my brother from his daycare, and the daycare workers say that he's been throwing up and he's had a fever. So my mom was like, okay. So she takes him down to Clark Range, and they go see their local doctor, Dr. Gary, and he says that my brother has leukemia. So after that, I go to live with some family friends for about, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 years. And so like for that time period, I had no brother, and then my mom was, I can't blame my mom for not paying any attention really to me, because my brother had cancer. He could die at any moment. Luckily, my brother, he's been cancer free for maybe about 4 years now. That's really all the, I've stayed in Jamestown my whole life basically, and those are like the 2 main moments where I feel like something has been taken away from me. My whole life, my mom pushed me to be a Christian. She really wanted me to get saved. The only reason I did is because one night after VBS, my brother tells my mom that he got saved. So my mom was like, Lindley, do you want to be saved? And at first, I was kind of skeptical about it, but I said, yeah, I'll get saved. So a couple weeks later, after school hours, my mom takes me to my church, and I talked to Brother Clark, and he saves me. Couple weeks later, I get baptized, and so I don't want to say I've had the best walk with God recently. It's definitely been something, but I'm just glad to say that I am saved, and that my dad's doing good, my brother's doing good, so.
Yeah, by the way, his brother, the average white blood cell count is under 100,000. His brother had 400,000 white blood cells, by the way, which is extremely dangerous, just if you didn't know. But since it is 1:48 and we got to be done by like 1:55, and I do kind of want to post this for y'all, so y'all don't have to wait a while. We are gonna wrap this up, and I just want to say that one thing: you just heard 3 stories that not a lot of you could say, hey, I've been through the same thing. But maybe some of you that are watching have been like, yeah, I actually have been through the same thing. Like, y'all are right with me. God works in mysterious ways. What did he do? He led me to speak my mind. He led me to tell my story. Because when you tell your story, and I want you to listen to this, when you tell your story, let it be real. Because your story is golden. Your story is perfect because you are fearfully and wonderfully made. God made you because he wanted to. He would have never put you on this earth. Really, Lane? Yeah, Lane just walked in and he's goofing around behind the camera. Lane, come say hi.
Hello.
All right, yeah, no, we are gonna wrap this up, but yeah, you tell your story, and you keep it real, because that's what God did. God kept it real. Jesus sweat blood on a freaking mountain because he was so freaking scared about not dying, but he was so scared about having all the sin on his back. We carry sin around like it's a freaking burden and won't just let it go. That's what we need to learn to do. We need to learn to just let it go. Alright? Tell your story and keep it real. Ryan, you want to end the video? Yo, see y'all.
Bye.